There's a bomb. What's happening here? Why is everything upside down? Rats, there ain't no one in here after all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises. Maybe that was the sound of Drebber running away. But there's only one door into this room. And no windows that could afford an escape route. I mean, there's footprints on the ceiling. Okay. Those skylights are too high. But there's footprints there. Look at that. Right there. What's that up there? Are they footprints on the ceiling? Blow me. What have we got here then? Have we not noticing there's a bomb in the middle? Like, guys? Looks like someone was trying to burn something in an hurry. Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints. To what? To that Professor Airbrain's bombing machine, isn't it? Blimey. Without these, there'd be no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal. There is something of great interest in here too. Yeah, I'm gonna say like the bomb in the middle. Probably want to investigate that. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. A rope? What's significant about that? Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo. We must investigate the entire room thoroughly, and before the forensic investigation team arrive too. I mean, straight away I'm like, the bomb. Mr. Shlomes, have you found something? Yeah, you might say that. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, yes. In point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. It looks like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped up in a lot. Ah! Miss Susto, what's the matter? That's a... Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it? What? Did you say? A time bomb? Sorry, but, what is a, time bomb exactly? Eh? You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I won't take that as a compliment. You don't know nothing, do you, Odo? You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance. Oh. Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it? Yeah, what is it? A clock? I see, so that's it. What is it? Goodness. Mr. Shlomes, have you seen to the heart of the matter? There are times when I consider my lot most unfair. For I am fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. Well, but I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Miss Susato. Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Drebber himself. Oh, but how could you? And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is, without question, completely genuine. Please, Mr. Shlomes, you must explain everything. It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Oh dear. Well, Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway. Yes. Oh, you deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Shlomes. Well done. You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Miss Susato. Oh, yes. I'd be delighted. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Here we bloody go. What have you deduced? Flipped furniture. Conclusion. What? It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. What the book saying? That woo baby? Something like that? Almost as if every item in the room had until recently been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that... There's the safe number right there. Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. Well, the gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness. The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Miss Susato. I too was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis has all was cemented when I've observed this. An anti-gravity device, almost identical to the one that featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact. This entire thing is trying to search for the safe key, like the safe code, by overturning every piece of furniture because they knew it was underneath somewhere, and they found it on one of the chairs. That's what it seems like. But then why does it have a clock on it? A most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. No. It was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. And the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment the restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of this anti-gravity device. No. So you see, we need look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Drebber, before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. I have witnessed precisely the scene in a dream I once had when I fell out of bed. The only thing that doesn't make sense with the idea of like someone's overturning the furniture is how is there footprints on the ceiling? And all I think is the rope. Maybe they're like pulling themselves up and then pulling themselves against the ceiling while they were trying to get out the window. That's all I'm thinking. Because gravity was reversed. No. Missing engineer. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer's friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. I kind of agree with that, but not in the way you're thinking. That's all I'm thinking there. It's like, Of course, Drebber's aim was singularly to escape. Okay. However, there is but one way into this room. Excepting the skylight, that is. Okay. Whoa! By inverting the gravity here, Dreb was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way. But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Shlomes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, would Mr. Drebber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently? Yes. Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Or climb up to it. You know, climb up to it, open it with your arm, then slip through. You know, like just, no. Which explains how Drebber was able to escape this room before our arrival. No. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. I mean, I agree with that, just, you know. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun. Well, go on then. See how well you do with that. Escaped via the skylight. I kind of agree they did that, but... I say. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. No. Like, you bleeding what? She's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there is just one thing that troubles me. I'd expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean? I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge, at the turn of the 20th century, it's no more possible than instantaneous kinesis, which isn't. You already established that and told us. But your whole deduction hinges on it. Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. However improbable it may seem. It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yes, I have a feeling that I've read it in something that Miss Susato lent me once.
Objection!
What? Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the spell's broken at last. The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it? Indeed it was! It lonely coils near the wall. But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape in the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall? Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find do ropes. As evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we face in this room, now skillfully unraveled. That argument is as circular as the cause of rope. I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth. Yes, you're right. Now we must do it quickly before Enoch Drebber gets too far away. If you're ready, then let us resume. Sherlock Sholmes, logic and reasoning spectacular. Alright, here we go then. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Alright, flip furniture. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp. Everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had until recently had been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that? Indeed, the key here. I mean, look at the safe. is gravity. It would appear that technology has at least succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. The gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness. The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. I think gravity could have been reversed in this very room. I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive such an explanation. The man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility. So, yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once. Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Susato. When you've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he? While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices. Yes, I suppose so. Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a bit more closely reveals some proof that shows us exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. Alright, so... I mean, I'm going to go with this because that's the thing that makes sense, because that's the only thing that's the right way up. Which means it was maybe placed there. Well, I wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers in here, that's for sure. Ah, look at that. I know, that slender little vase. Looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow it makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say? To be honest, Mr. Naruhodo, something else about it made a rather deep impression on me. Represent it. The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you have surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps? No one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes. As you rightly say, though, it appears at first glance that all the furniture in the room is upside down. This unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there is nothing affixing it to the floor. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, much as it pains me, gravity in this room was never inverted at all. My deepest sympathies for your loss. Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes. But the show must go on, so let's continue with our deductions. Now that we know the contrivance is not in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains but one other possibility. You don't say. Someone did deliberately turn over every piece of furniture in here. Which might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unresolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite, and naturally there is an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of this anti-gravity device. But you abolish that. He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he? I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong. There's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all this furniture over. So whoever it was must have had a reason. I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though. Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. But immediately I'm like, yeah, that. Look, there's something written on the underside of the armchair. Like, that's the reason you would turn it all upside down. Oh yes, safe 432582. Safe, as in safe and secure? As in secure lockable box, I think. Admittedly more likely. Well, there is a large safe bolted to the floor on the other side of the room, so yes. So you mean this number would let us open it? I wonder why it's written here, though.
Take that!
Like, clearly. Yes. The reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination. Precisely. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yes, last year, when I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book just in case. That's it. But people are forgetful souls at heart and always make a written note of important information. Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think. And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruhodo? When the day of the draw came round, I'd forgotten which book I'd written the number in and had to turn my room upside down to find it. And that's it! For people are forgetful souls at heart and always forget where they've noted things down. Not if you always note things in the same place. I actually won the second prize, you know. But I can't remember which magazine I'd slipped the ticket into. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo, but I believe I've proved my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario is clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. He remembered that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but forgotten which one. Leading to the state in which we now find the room. Yes, Mr. Trevor overturned all the furniture in here in a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe. All the while there's a bomb probably ticking away. Just remember that little fact. It's right there. Now let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Well, the changing direction of gravity can't explain it. And how did those footprints get there? Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. Can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations in the first place. Alright, what we got? Oh, the shoe. Footprints on it as well. It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look. Oh yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think? If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling, though? Oh dear. That's beyond me, I'm afraid. Representing that, we'll do it with that one. It's gotta be right, surely. It's odd enough. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? A green balloon. That seems somewhat familiar, Data. Ah. There's a piece of the green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found at the scene. And inside the green balloon was Master Gott's claim he saw above the stage when the incident occurred. Was the second bird cage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean to say? We assume the balloon in here is a model of the one used that day. And there is a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it. Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But but the balloon's out of reach. Hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely, the shoe. Most probably, Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by sailing it with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights. Oh dear, desperate need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? Mr. Schlomes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope. Although I have to admit, that was clever. So you just throw the rope up to the balloon and then pull it down to us on the ground? Which is much easier said than done, I feel. And could take us a very long time as well. True, perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? Oh, well, crossbow then. Are we just going to go with that?
Take that!
No, if we're just reenacting what happened with the other balloon, then yeah. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than the crossbow? It was found at the scene, in fact. In all likelihood, belongs to Mr. Drebber. If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he could have avoided losing a shoe at such a crucial time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. Shoot it. What is it that the Enoch Drebber has hidden inside the balloon? Shoot it. Ah! What the? A waxwork? It's the head. Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock. So we can't see the face inside, that means. Which is the important bit. Just a moment, this is the head of a waxwork model? Does that mean... Oh goodness! I see you've joined the dots, Miss Susato. Excellent! Of course. Headless waxwork model. Case of the abducted Madame Tuspel's model that you'd largely solved. It's only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was. I believe Madame Tuspel's will now have to settle a sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor. Yes. But why is it here? This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tuspel's and returning it, sans early today, was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Harebrain's case and the waxwork abduction are... they're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. Waxwork head has been added into the court record. Righto. Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure. There we go, correction. I was going to say we're still partway through. The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber? As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights, obviously, the man must still be here in the room. Oh, he's in the bloody safe then. What? And his location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made here together with this deduction. You know, Drebber is right here, somewhere in this room? So, Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors? Yes, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the... He's in there.
Take that!
Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here. which tells us the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe. And pressed for time, he made no attempt to right the furniture that he'd overturned in the process. From which we can deduce that this search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe. Ah, bloody hell. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. There we go. Solved. Elementary. Extraordinary. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide and seek, don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination was 1, 4, 3, 2, 5, 8, 2. I knew that. Alright then, here goes. Hello, mate. You found me. Plus and minus. What the hell? That's something, I guess. Ugh. Right, and sir, Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume? Correct. You better start talking. You tricked Professor Hairbrain with that bogus machine you built. And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Tuspel's as well. Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions. What is going on? Personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate? Your parcel? I refer, of course, to the time bomb. I left it in a most prominent position. Ah! Ha 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 ha. I see. Stunned silence. You are all getting up to die with me then. No! Turn it bloody off. Mr. Sholmes, we've only 7 seconds to spare. That was too close for comfort. I've got 1 foot in the grave already. Are you trying to get a killer or get us killed? Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they? One way of putting it. Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say. Anti-gravity devices don't exist. Phew, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. Alright, so I'm thinking we'll end this part here, and the next part we'll discuss a few little things here with Mr. Drebber. Ta-ra for now.